Have you guys ever been scrolling Instagram and you see those videos that are unbelievably high quality and you're struggling to get that same kind of quality out of your videos? It's just not happening. Today, we're going to be talking about Topaz Video AI and how you can achieve that yourself. Frankly, I'm so tired of seeing these DM for quality 8K quality tutorial in bio. I'm tired of seeing this stuff because they're not uploading in 4K. They're certainly not uploading in 8K. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what I've learned over the past month using Topaz Video AI. So we're going to hop over to the computer side of things. I'm going to be testing a couple videos from my 15-year-old 5 megapixel Sony camcorder or handy cam. I can't remember the name of this thing, but this thing's junk. And we'll be using some of the footage off of my ZV-10 that I'm shooting on right now. Toy around with things, and I'm going to show you from the bottom up how you can create incredible looking content on Instagram. Yeah, let's do it. Let's hop over. Alrighty, so now we're over at my computer and we're going to be looking at some of the examples. I mean, we're going to briefly look at them in OBS right now, but I will do a direct comparison towards the end of the edit. I'm not entirely sure why people try to sell a course with this. This software, Canadian, I think is $300. Like it's not cheap. Yeah, let's dive in. So we're going to be comparing two sets of clips between the ZV-10 as well as my Handycam. I have two clips shooting outside my window just towards the sky, so ideal light conditions, and I've tried to kind of push them a little bit in terms of the lighting. I mean the ZV-10 with lots of light, you know, there's no grain to push there, and then even with my Handycam, it's going to be performing at its absolute best. So that's going to be minimal grain. That's going to be not so much grain, not so much color deviations and artifacting and things like that. Whereas the other two clips I have available here are a quick short clip from the Checkpoint cruise, the New Year's cruise that happened a few months back, and I have one clip from a private shoot I did with my buddy Caleb. If you like this short clip and you like his Miata, feel free to follow him on Instagram. He is at Chrome Worms, all one word. Chrome Worms, baby. So let's have a quick look in OBS. I'll do a direct comparison later. So here we have, I can't even tell what car that is. That might be a someone take away my JDM card. I don't know what car this is. As you can tell in this, we're gonna pause it here and just look at some of the artifacting that you get just purely from the low light. So if you look in this area here, I can see little dots of pinks and blues and orange. So that's gonna be color artifacting. Lots of artifacting here. This does not look good. It is awful. There's a reason I didn't put this in that edit, or at least I don't think I did. So that's that clip before Topaz, and then this is a ZV-10 clip. So what I have done with this clip is in post, this clip is incredibly dark. This is shot on a 7 Artisans 35mm 1.4. It's shot wide open, and as you can tell, there is some grain here. I mean, it is relatively sharp and there's lots of information. I mean, Sony cameras, there's something to be said about low light, because I have absolutely boosted the exposure on this clip. The sharpness is still there. Clip was originally unbelievably dark. So we're going to be comparing those two in Topaz and seeing how they do. Obviously, you adjust everything in Topaz, so one clip is obviously going to need more adjusting than the other, but this is more to just push the software and give you guys a good idea of how it's usable with awful cameras. If it's worth, trying with a bad camera, or is it worth sticking with your current setup and going with it. But at the end of the day, I think, no matter how good an AI software is, if you put in garbage, you're gonna get garbage. But we're gonna find out for sure. So first things first, so it's shot in 720. We're gonna go down here to enhancement, and we are going to put the parameters to manual. So the video type, you're going to leave the same, and same thing with the AI model, Proteus. This is the same model that all of these other guys use when they say DM for quality, link in bio, and they try to sell you on a course for a software that's already multiple hundreds of dollars. Stupidest thing in the world. All of these different options you have here are fairly straightforward. So revert compression, obviously, that's going to be the compression of the video. That's going to be it focusing on your standard ISO and or ISO grain, so to speak. Recover details, is it going to be trying to pull detail out of, so for example, if we zoom in here, it's going to try and pull the details out of, I'm trying to point at it, I'm dumb as hell. It's going to try to pull details out of areas like this, these fender lines here, these side skirt lines, etchings. I don't know, man. It's gonna try and recover all that. Sharpening, not much to say there. It's gonna sharpen it. Reduce noise, that's a big one too. I'm just gonna go over this how I normally do it. We're not gonna be doing like a bunch of tests on each individual option in it. So how I would normally edit these like very dark videos is I honestly, like you do have to kind of crank these options up. But the main three are gonna be reduce noise, recover details, and revert compression. Those are the main three you're gonna wanna go over. And then things like sharpening, you can play with that to taste afterwards, but you can get a preview before you even do it. So let's do that. Before we actually make the video, we're gonna preview 0.1 seconds of it. So, and like that, we already have a decent preview here. So I'm gonna use the slider, and we're just gonna zoom right in on an area that we wanna focus on. So I wanna focus on the fender arch here. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, that's actually pretty incredible. It's gonna smooth a lot of things over. Like if you look into, for example, like you're not gonna regain, like obviously you can't tell what this says here. So obviously you're not gonna regain that detail, but that's a pretty incredible amount of decompression just with the software. So let's say hypothetically, for the sake of argument, we crank all three of these. We're gonna be leaving, just as a side note, we are gonna be leaving anti-aliasing and deblur and sharpening alone because those are more fine-tuning things after you've found these three settings and how you wanna do it. But we're gonna try this one out again. We're gonna see how this looks. So this is cooked. This is absolutely deep fried. But it is bringing back quite a bit of detail. Remember that this is a 720p clip, so it can only do so much here, but that's pretty damn good. This one is absolutely maxed out. We're gonna export it like this and just see how it looks. So for your export settings, you are going to want to bring it down to, so for example, I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so I'm going to be using the NVIDIA H264 setting. Your container, MP4, because a lot of these social medias are set up for MP4 file types. And then your bitrate, number one, for Instagram in particular, and from what I've noticed from TikTok as well. I don't really use TikTok that much, but you're going to want to put it to a 12 megabits per second. 15 is the limit, and you have 12 and 16, so we're gonna do 12. So we're gonna export this. And now I'm gonna speed things up a little bit from here going forward and kind of dial things into taste, export it, and see how it goes. I'm gonna close this input here to get it ready for the next video. And we're gonna take a look at that clip. So here it is. So as you can tell, the software is pretty incredible. Like what it does, like, and remember, we didn't upscale this to 1080 or 4K for that matter. This is still 720p. It's just the software smooths things over in a way where it's just indistinguishable. So for example, earlier when I was focusing in on the hood, let's try and get back to that frame, all of the color noise compression is gone. So you don't see those blotches of pink or blue or green there. You don't see the RGB blotching that you would normally see when it artifacts in this sense. This is pretty incredible. This is the first time I've tried playing around with 720p footage in Topaz, and that is pretty damn incredible. So it really goes to show, you know, I don't think anyone's this type of person, but if you really did want to cheap out on the camera and just pick this up, I mean, you could do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but shit, it can be done. Let's refresh ourselves. Here is Caleb's Miata. We're gonna pop this bad boy in there, and now I'm gonna be using my standard settings that I would normally use. So night footage, pretty grainy. I don't max everything out. I don't like to deep fry the living piss out of everything. But here we are going to be hopping into, so dehaloing I don't normally use because I have no reason to take it out of the footage. Nothing is overdone. Like I don't have any crazy lens flares or haloing going on here, so there's just no problem. So we're gonna start moderate here. Noise reduction, there is a pretty significant amount of noise in the clip, so we are gonna turn that up a little bit. And we're just gonna look at a preview of the first frame. So as you can see, that is a night and day difference. So we're gonna zoom in. Let's go right on the front bumper here. Wow. I hope you guys see this as well as I do, because that's incredible, and it retains the color of the vehicle. You know, it's not misinterpreting the color noise. You know, for example, like his car is a pretty dark green, but it's not mistaking anything, because there are some portions up here at the top of the hood where, you know, it does look a little blue, and like this portion on the back end here where the light's reflecting off, it does look a little red. So, you know, it's not misinterpreting it. It is keeping everything straightforward. Like, and reminder, this is still in 1080p. So with this clip, when I boosted it in post preparing for this video, I exported it in 1080. So I brought the 4K clip down to 1080 and then put it in here. I didn't insert 4K, drop it to 1080 in this software. That's not really how I have my workflow, because Topaz is a pretty intensive software and it can take a good amount of time for it to do its magic. But that's pretty incredible. So just hypothetically, for the sake of argument, what if everything was maxed out, right? I think everyone wants to see that. And for my taste, what I do is I normally add a little bit of sharpening, normally around 10, just to give the edges a little bit of a more crisp sort of look to it. It depends on the clip. I mean, it might not look that good because this is night footage. Generally, when you have loss of detail in night footage, you don't want to use anti-aliasing or deblurring, and you don't want to use the sharpening tools, just because there's not enough information there for it to really do the sharpening in a way that's going to complement the product. It's not necessarily going to work in that sense. Anti-aliasing, you want to go into the negatives. You don't really want to go into the positives. I'm not entirely sure why it works that way, but yeah. Okay, so now we're really deep frying it. I kind of want to look at the ground a little bit too. So let's see how the ground looks. So like even on these details of the rocks, like focus on these rocks here a little bit. The change is pretty incredible. The fact that it's worked with, I don't know how this product was built. I don't know how this program has been put together, or how like the information they fed the AI to create this software. I'm not entirely sure of that. We're just gonna go back to the front bumper here. But this is pretty incredible. Like, come on. And remember that these are videos. We're just doing isolating singular frames here. We're gonna put it into our preferred encoder, which will depend on your hardware and software, and at 12 megabits bit rate. And we're gonna export this. This should only take a moment here. And just a reminder, I've kind of deep fried this one, so to speak. I don't normally edit videos in this way, but my settings are displayed here. You should be able to see all those, even with my big ass head in the corner. Let's back out of this. So we're gonna close the input here. Now we're going to look at the handycam footage of the sky. This isn't so bad. This one I shot just now before I did all this, so this one is in 1080. So this one actually doesn't look so bad. I mean, obviously you can see the artifacting and grain just because, you know, it's an old camera, it's 5 megapixels, it's dog, it is not good. Revert compression, recover details. So this is daylight footage. In my general experience using this software, you know, I don't tend to crank it very much during day footage, but having that said, you know, I do shoot on a decent camera that is able to capture quite a bit of detail, but you know, this kind of grain is avoided with that camera. So we're just gonna give a preview of this, see how it looks. Not really playing with sharpening, considering that, you know, we're shooting some clouds. So there's not much to really sharpen there. Oh, okay. So it really just smooths everything over because there's not necessarily a lot of definition on them to begin with. But we are going to look at, in particular, I do want to look at these trees right at the bottom here. So like that's pretty incredible actually. Like it's bringing back like these tiny little twigs that are barely even there. It does bring back quite a bit of definition. So we're actually gonna leave it like that. I do want to look at this side of the home as well. So this flat edge here, it just sharpens that up. I mean it doesn't necessarily sharpen it, but it really it denoises incredibly. It just pulls all of that grain out completely. So we're gonna leave that clip just like that. We're gonna export it. We're gonna choose our preferred encoder and bitrate and all of that good stuff. You do have to do this every time. It won't remember it. We're gonna close this input. We're just gonna blaze on through the rest of this. Obviously, night and day difference here. Not quite night and day, but I mean, come on, like this, like all you can actually see the portion of this this home here. The color detail is still retained in the sky here, even all the greens. Like it's not just black and then blue the way the Handycam was. So we're gonna keep it relatively simple on this shot. I'm just gonna find a nice frame here. You know what, the beginning frame is good enough. So let's go into enhancement. Again, this is 1080p. When I trimmed everything down for this video, I exported in 1080p because that's what you would do for Instagram. So let's hop into manual mode. We're gonna do kind of similar settings. So I believe it was around 70s here for all three of these, and then I just left it. So let's look at a preview so we can briefly go over it. I'm not sure how well this is gonna translate in OBS, but I hope that I could at least provide a little bit of insight and help you guys out. So right off the bat, this is the first thing I noticed. So that's unbelievable. So we do have some haloing here. So let's try something actually. We're gonna add a little bit of the dehaloing function, a little bit of the sharpen, and then some anti-aliasing. And we're gonna go back to the same preview to see if it can sort out those edges and see how that looks. So bring it back to this. Okay, so we still kind of have that dehaloing, but at the same time, I mean, are you serious right now? Like this is incredible. Like I mean, and this is already a pretty decent looking shot. Like and then even completely zoomed out, like I'm noticing a very, very strong difference between the two. And these are actually in focus. This is motion blur here. Actually, I think the wind hit it. So these are in focus. This isn't, it's stopped f16. Fucking everything should be in focus. Where is it? Is there a frame it caught? That's as good as it'll get, I guess. Yeah, so it's pretty incredible what this software can do. So we're gonna export it in that. And having that said, you know, I'm just gonna edit it all together at the end so you guys can have a close look for yourselves. I think this entire software is just a big kind of learning experience, and kind of figuring out like what works best for what you're shooting, what kind of effect you're trying to achieve. I just wanted to make this video because number one, I think when I first started working with this software, you know, I was posting about it often on my story and talking about it, and it was getting a lot of engagement. I was getting a lot of DMs from people asking how to use it. Especially because, you know, I was being a little, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I was like, man, like there's these random dudes like on Instagram that first off, they don't shoot their own footage. At least the ones I was seeing, they don't shoot their own footage. They pull stuff from other people's accounts, deep fry it in Topaz, repost it. And some of these accounts have upwards of, you know, 500,000 followers. And I just think, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, times are tough for everyone. So I try, you know, I shouldn't rag on them too much, you know, but at the same time, I think that's a little bit, I think it's lazy, kind of kills the art a little bit in it. I just think, you know, at the end of the day, like no matter what you're interested in, no matter what you want to shoot, go out and shoot it, whether you use this software or not. I think a lot of these repost accounts are a little bit annoying. We'll cut to the comparisons, and you know, I am Taylor, or aka Ned Flanders from Goodnight Media. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm very active there. That's at goodnight.media. Links will be below, everything like that. And yeah, I hope this helped you guys make some decisions whether you were looking into this software or not. And you know, I just hope I could help out. So thanks so much for watching, and peace out.